Hey guys, it's JJ. Welcome back to the Eagles franchise. Today we're gonna go through the season stats, the awards, and the Pro Bowl, stuff like that. Talk about the past season, and in which we actually made the playoffs, which was kind of surprising because our defense really needs some work. It's really bad, but this is an offensive league, and the numbers for Jalen Hurts are totally overblown here. Almost 5,000 yards, 43 touchdowns. It's a result of how I run the offense with a lot of run after catch. But yeah, for running backs, we have Miles Sanders. He's not even close to the top of the league, but almost 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns. I think that's okay, only one fumble on the season. His contract is coming up, and we're going to have to talk about that. I think he's a good running back, but he might be replaceable as well. So yeah, we're going to look at the team stats rushing, as Jalen Hurts had 415 on the ground as well, added one touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell was hyper efficient, so we would already have a replacement for Miles Sanders if we choose to let him go. I'm not sure what to do about it, but I think that Miles Sanders might be gone at the end of the offseason. Devontae Smith led the league in receiving, almost 1,800 yards, 16 touchdowns. Mitch Slaughter led the league in touchdowns, almost 1,400 yards for him. Both of these guys had some really big plays with lots of run after catch. Doug Washington, in his rookie season, almost 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert had his role decrease even further from last season, if I remember correctly. Almost 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. Miles Sanders, I wanted to use him more in the receiving game, but we have such great receiving talent that I really didn't need to. Although there were instances where you might think about the separation issues we had. We took a lot of sacks because the receiver couldn't get open. Should have dumped it off more often. But yeah, Quez Watkins, only 3 catches. His contract is coming up as well, and I'm probably gonna let him test, and probably won't get him back after free agency either. Yeah, Devontae Smith led the league, as I already said, and in catches, they did not. I think Juju Smith-Schuster led the league here with 109, but both of those receivers were the best receiving tandem in the league, I'd say. And one interesting fact here is that Daryl Morton, in his 2 seasons he's in the league, has produced 2,000-yard campaigns. It's already a bunch of touchdowns, more than a dozen. And yeah, the Packers already have another star receiver in the making as well. Max Woodard, in his 2nd season, 1,000-yard receiver as well. So that's fun. There's a lot of young talent in the league that is producing here as well. We're going to go to the offensive line, and this is where issues began with our 2 best offensive linemen, Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks. Both of them might consider retirement. Both of them might not be here after the offseason. They gave up a lot of pressure, but running behind them was fun. Landon Dickerson played, I think, 5 games until I said this has got to stop. 7 sacks in like 5 or 6 games. Way too many, and so that's when I put in Easton Young. But even though our best offensive lineman was none of those 5 on the top, it was Cam Robinson. He somehow only managed to allow 2 sacks, playing 16 and a half games, I think, or 16. He was hurt for 1 game, I think. But yeah, he had a great season. So happy about him as a guard. We're going to go to the defensive side of the football. Mike Middleton, 146 in tackles, but his solo tackle numbers were not that high. He was really good though, was flying all over the field in the second half of the season, finally showing some playmaking abilities. And then both our safeties had more than 100 tackles as well. You might think about Taylor Anderson, maybe putting him at linebacker, but I think his run defense is just too weak to really do that. Then another player I wanted to talk about was Tyler Stokes. He had 75 tackles in a really limited role as a 4-3 base linebacker. He did not play much sub linebacker and nickel packages, but he played great when he got the chance. And then Milton Williams, 27 TFLs, 16 TFLs for Fletcher Cox. Mike Middleton, 10 TFLs. That is so much fun watching these young players get after it. I think that Mike Middleton, if he continues to develop like he does right now, he's on a good upward trajectory to be our starting middle linebacker of the future. Milton Williams also had 18.5 sacks, and granted, a lot of our sack production in general came off coverage sacks, but our best two pass rushers are interior linemen. That's fun. They produced 32.5 sacks. And then Jonathan Rivera was hit and injured for the last stretch of the season, but 8.5 sacks, I think it's fine. He can do better, but he certainly did not have the great season he had as a rookie. And then JJ Watt, brought him in for one season, 6.5 sacks. That's okay production, I'd say. Maybe I might be bringing him back if he's still on the market in free agency, but I'm gonna let him test. Josh Sweat, 5.5 sacks, had a good season as well. And then Derek Barnett did not have the great season I had hoped for. When he was on the field, he was not all that productive, and he got a lot in the field because JJ Watt was hurt all the time. So yeah, probably gonna let him go. Avonte Maddox, 3 picks, led the team. We did not have many interceptions at all this season. But yeah, most of those went to corners, and then Kayvon Wallace got one. The only corner that was starting a bunch that did not get any interceptions was Chris Madden, which is kind of ironic, but because I think he has the best catching rating out of all of those. But yeah. And for the other type of turnovers, we had 4 forced fumbles by Fletcher Cox and 2 by Milton Williams. Those 2 were our best pass rushers, and they forced some fumbles as well. Also in the run game. And then, yeah, JJ Watt had a forced fumble, and then 2 safeties had forced fumbles. James Wiggins had a ridiculous forced fumble when he played one game when Taylor Anderson was injured. He just triggered downhill and knocked it loose with a hit out of this world. And then, yeah, Taylor Anderson had a nice forced fumble as well. So I think our forced fumble count is fine. Our interception count is not. We need to get more of those. But yeah, we're going to go to the sack statistics now for the NFC, where Milton Williams led the league in sacks. 18.5. Khalil Mack also had 18.5. Khalil Mack did not have 27 TFLs, he just had 20. And then 17 sacks for Von Miller as well. And in the AFC, it was DeForest Buckner with 15. So Milton Williams actually led the league in sacks, 18.5, tied with Khalil Mack, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it, because Milton Williams is like a 74 overall. So yeah, but gonna keep him around probably for a little while longer. Lavonte David led the league in tackling, but look who's in second. It's Mike Middleton, 146, 10 TFLs, 2 sacks. If he had a couple picks, I think he would have been in the conversation for some awards, maybe a Pro Bowl. But yeah, he does not have the amount of solo tackles that some of these other linebackers have, especially here. Cole Holcomb, Lavonte David, and down the list, Bobby Okereke with 124, which is just absurd. But yeah, we're gonna go to team stats now, where the Eagles had a great offense and a bad defense, and we're gonna look at the numbers exactly now. For total offense, the Eagles were in the top 10. I think that's fine. We have a good offensive line. We have great receivers. We have a kind of average quarterback play. And that mostly sums it up for me. We have a top 10 offense. For passing, this is where it gets kind of confusing, because I thought I leaned more on the passing game than the rushing game, and we still were only top 10. I would have imagined that we led the league or were in top 3 while being really down the list for rushing, but I guess I didn't realize how much I ran it down the stretch, because we still rank, I think that's top 10 as well for rushing yardage with 2,107, and that's kind of fun because I'm not really a guy who wants to run it a bunch in these games, but if the defense has a great secondary, I might just run it. And apparently that's what I did. Points per game, Eagles, second in the league. We were really efficient when it came to scoring. And we had the most passing touchdowns, and that is what I mentioned earlier with I thought I passed it a lot more than I ran it, because we had a lot more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdowns, which is normal, but relatively to the rest of the league, we were in, I think that's bottom 5 in rushing touchdowns. So I might have confused the fact that I threw it a lot more in the red zone versus I ran it a lot more in the middle of the field. But yeah, for first downs gained, we were kind of below average, but I think that's okay because our offense relies a lot on being able to have some run after catch, getting some big plays, chunk plays, and if you do that, if you don't dink and dunk your way down the field all the time, then you're not going to have the most first downs in the league. So that's okay on my part, I'd say. Total yardage allowed for the defense. We were bottom 10 in the league, and that's what I expected. We do not have a great defensive line. We do not have a great linebacking core, and we do have a great secondary. We have Darius Slay, Chris Madden, Dante Jackson, Avonte Maddox. We have a couple of nice safeties, which are kind of average now, but there is some development occurring there. And then for passing yardage allowed, we are bottom of the league as well. Now you might say, didn't he just say, yeah, we have a great secondary? Yeah, we do, but if your defensive line is so bad they can't stop anything, you're still gonna allow a lot of yardage. And for rushing yardage, we were not that bad actually, which is kind of fun because we had a lot of games where we led a lot of the way and then let them come back. So yeah, if you want to come back from a big league in the second half, you're gonna have to pass it a lot. So that's why our rushing yardage is not that bad, or it doesn't look that bad. But when we actually played against some of these great running backs just in the playoffs, Alvin Kamara just destroyed us. And yeah, our defensive line really is not that great, and our linebacking core is not that great either when it comes to stopping the run. Points allowed, worst in the league. I don't know how this happened, but somehow we allowed the most points in the league. I was pretty shocked when I saw that stat. We had the most QB sacks in the league, which is kind of ironic. How is that possible? Yeah, it is possible because we have a great secondary. There were a lot of coverage sacks, a lot of them. And yeah, it also led to a lot of big plays happening after like 10 seconds after the snap, but it also led to a lot of sacks that that just sums it up pretty effectively, I'd say. Fumble recoveries, we were tied for third in the league. I'd say that's spot on. I think that's fine. Interceptions, bottom 5 in the league. And yeah, I already talked about it. There has to be some better production because we need to get some takeaways to win these games. We did not have the splash play defense that other teams did, that you sometimes get a pick six that gets you the one score more that you needed and stuff like that. And yeah, for third down conversions, we're going to look at that stat for now. Yeah, we have a great third down conversion rate, but that is just in part because I thought I had a pretty great plan to attack these defenses to get us into easier third down situations and not have as many 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 12s. And when I didn't get that, we were sacked a lot. So that's why. Red zone efficiency. I already talked about that as well. Second best in the league, only behind the Cowboys. We had great red zone offense, and there were a lot of situations where We passed the ball successfully in the red zone, and that led to a lot of touchdown passes, which kind of inflates Jalen Hurts' numbers there. For red zone defense, yeah. Had to scroll down really far to see that. That is bottom 10 in the league, and no surprise either. So we're gonna move on to the turnovers, where we ranked pretty low. Gotta scroll a lot. And actually, we're dead last. Minus 12. That is not gonna win you anything in this league. You gotta get some more turnovers. And I think it's more a lack of getting turnovers than a lack of than too many given up. But we also had too many given up because there were a bunch of picks, but also a bunch of sacks. We're gonna look at the fumble counts now, and yeah, you can see there. I mean, 13 interceptions is not that bad, but 11 fumbles lost is horrible. And I think it's in part because Jalen Hurts got sacked so much on these plays where receivers struggle to separate, and you need to dump it off. And well, if you have a lot of sacks, if you take a lot of sacks, you're probably at some point gonna fumble one away, and we did that too much. Takeaways, we have 13. That is not enough interceptions. I already talked about that. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We're gonna move on to the playoff picture. The wildcard round, we already talked about it, but Tua Tagovailoa somehow managed to win this game against Trevor Lawrence behind a great effort passing. And then the Chiefs win in overtime against the Patriots. The Bills win it against the Titans, but then they move on to the divisional round and lose to the Chiefs, while the 1 seed Ravens beat out Tua Tagovailoa. So it's Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes, the two best quarterbacks in the game, and the Baltimore Ravens win that game. We're gonna move on to the NFC side of plays now, where I already talked about that as well. The Vikings somehow have an elite rushing offense, and somehow, yeah, not surprising. And yeah, we lost that game against the Saints. It was a lot closer at the end than this score says, but yeah, the 49ers won it as well against the Bears. Justin Fields leads them to the playoffs, but they lose. And then the Saints behind yet another great rushing try effort here in the divisional round game against the Minnesota Vikings. They win it. Norman Thomas, flawless game, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And Alvin Kamara, once again, 103 yards, a touchdown on the ground. The Vikings were able to do that again, but I guess probably the interception that Kirk Cousins threw was one point at which you gotta see that, yeah, that did not work out as well. And yeah, Cam Jordan also had a sack, 1 interception for Demario Davis, that great Saints defense. He also forced a fumble. He forced 2 turnovers, and I think that was maybe the deciding factor in this game. But the Saints, once again, great rushing effort here, 100 yards on the ground for Alvin Kamara, moves them to the NFC Championship game. And then we're going to look at this game as well. The Cowboys win it 28-22 against the 49ers. Also a great rushing effort by the Cowboys here with Ezekiel Elliott. They move on to face the Saints. And Norman Thomas, the rookie QB, finally has a bad game in the playoffs. No touchdowns, 2 picks. That was too bad. And then 2 great rushing performances here for Zeke and Alvin Kamara. So both of them go off in this game, have 100 plus yards on the ground. And then for defense, we have once again a sack by Cam Jordan somehow. And for picks, yeah, there were 4 picks in this game, but the difference is that Norman Thomas didn't throw a touchdown to complement that, and Dak Prescott did throw 2. So the Cowboys actually managed to move on to the Super Bowl and play the other 1 seed, the Ravens. And we're gonna look at the results of that game in the next episode. We're gonna go through Pro Bowl voting results. Jalen Hurts is QB1 in the NFC, which kind of surprises me, but he has padded numbers, so actually it's not all that surprising, I'd say. Alvin Kamara made it, Dalvin Cook, and Miles Sanders. So the Eagles get some guys in there. We also get in there Mitch Slaughter. He makes it as the wide receiver 1. Devontae Smith is the wide receiver 2 in this game, in this voting. And yeah, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Russell Gage. A lot of players that had great seasons here. OJ Howard makes it. George Kittle and Kyle Pitts. Sorry, I mixed the two names up here. George Kittle and Kyle Pitts. Tevin Jenkins and Taylor Decker. So Sean Keaton still waiting on having a great season, but he also allowed a few sacks. So he didn't have a bad season, but he didn't have a great season either. And well, with that, we're gonna move on. Somehow Brandon Brooks makes it. He allowed 8 sacks. He was second worst on this offense in allowing sacks, so that's kind of surprising, but I guess he makes it. And for edge rushers, yeah, of course, we don't have any in there. Milton Williams makes it as the 1 though, because yeah, 18.5 sacks will do that. Fletcher Cox as the defensive tackle 3. Yeah, that sounds about right. Khalil Mack also makes it. And Mike Wilcox for the Falcons, the young edge rusher. For the cornerbacks, sadly, none of the Eagles are going to make it. Greedy Williams was signed by the Falcons, and he played a role in, defeating us, actually. And JC Horn also is in there. So some young players are in this Pro Bowl as well. And then, yeah, no kicker, no punter, and who cares about kick returners and punt returners? We're gonna move on now to the awards, where somehow Dak Prescott wins the MVP in this league. Kyler Murray comes in second. Gardner Minshew somehow is third. I'm not sure how that happened. But I think if you're behind a lot like the Falcons were in the season, you're going to have to pass out a lot, and that is padding your numbers. So maybe that's why. In the AFC, Pat Mahomes is Offensive Player of the Year. Josh Allen and Nick Chubb, no surprises there. And yeah, DeForest Buckner for the Colts, Defensive Player of the Year. Cesar Garcia, a receiver I wanted to maybe target in the last draft. He wins Offensive Rookie of the Year in the AFC. Taylor McCutcheon comes in second. Damian Pearman, Lorenzo Kilgore, Quincy Zimmerman. We faced him this year. He had a nice game. And Cam Frazier, another player I targeted. The Bills took him, and he comes in 8th here for the Bills. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Juan Peel is an interesting player. He was a safety coming out of the draft. I moved him to middle linebacker because I thought that he was going to be a stellar option there, and he actually was. He produced a lot, and I think he already is one of the best linebackers in the league. And yeah, we're just going to go through these in the AFC. It really doesn't matter a lot to us. It's just interesting to see some of these things. And for, defensive line, it's Buckner again, Carl Lawson, Draymond Jones. And then for linebackers, this award is so screwed over. It's not even, Juan Peel should be in there, and he's only 10th, while he had like the second most solo tackles in the league. How is that happening? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the NFC. Kyler Murray is first in Offensive Player of the Year voting. Jalen Hurts is the 6th guy, and nothing special about that. Defensive Player of the Year, Milton Williams only comes in 3rd. He had some competition here in this league. Fletcher Cox comes in 6th. This is 14 sacks. that's still great production. I already extended his contract because he's just a great player. Joe Frazier wins Rookie of the Year, while Norman Thomas led them to the playoffs and only gets in second here. Doug Washington gets in fourth. Yeah, if you're competing against QBs, there is no chance you win this award in this league. And Christian Drew, a great tight end the football team selected, comes in seventh. And then Christian Landry with about one game worth of snaps comes in 10th. Casey Lowry wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. Pat Brown comes in second. Von Wimbley, who had 2 sacks on Jalen Hurts, comes in third here. Zay Bowen had an interception on Hurts. He comes in 5th. And yeah, the other guys we saw as well, some of them. Best QB, Hurts somehow makes it in second, even though he doesn't even have 60% completion percentage on that offense. Even that is just so low. Best running back in the league, Zeke. Yeah, he led. Actually, that's not that surprising because Alvin Kamara had more yardage, but yeah. Mitch Slaughter wins Best Receiver of the year. And Devontae Smith comes in second. Daryl Morton comes in 7th. So he's one of the young stud receivers entering the league as well here. And for best defensive line, there were actually no Eagles in the top 10 here, which is kind of surprising because we have a couple of guys that are high rated. Milton Williams at least wins best D-liner in the league, ahead of Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox, his own teammate. So that's fun. Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns on 7. A lot of players down this list. Best linebacker, yeah, as I said, these are all edge rushers. Mike Wilcox, he is a second-year edge rusher for the Falcons. He looked great as well. Yeah. Greedy Williams. I earlier said that the Falcons signed him. I think I meant the Saints. He had a great game against us. We're going to look at the status of the team now, because this is where it gets interesting. Jalen Hurts, he is an X factor, but he's 26 now, and I feel like his play isn't developing. He's still making the same mistakes he did as a rookie or as a sophomore, and his accuracies should make him a lot better than he supposedly is. And he has a lot of these missed throws, especially under pressure, which is kind of surprising because he has a great under pressure rating. It's one of his best traits, and somehow he misses a lot of balls when he does that. So yeah, his contract's up. I still don't know what to do with him. We have a potential replacement in Christian Landry, whose dev I'm revealing now because we have not seen that before, and he has star dev, so not all that surprising, but I think he had fine snaps when he played. He didn't play a lot this season. He has a great break sack rating. His throw under pressure looks horrible. He has 16 points less than Hurts, but somehow it doesn't affect a lot, I'd say. His throw power is equal, and his accuracy ratings are more than decent for the end of his rookie season. You can get that to the low 90s in maybe a year or two, and you're fine. And he is a lot younger than Hurts is, so something to think about. Miles Sanders goes up to superstar dev now, but he is 27, so he's not going to develop a whole lot, which is kind of sad because he was on an upward trajectory, and he's at the end of his rookie contract. But look at the ratings. He is kind of replaceable. This is nothing special you see on here. 87 juke move, okay, that's nothing great. 82 break tackle, 78 stiff arm. And even his carrying is not that great a rating. His change of direction is average. Not sure if I want to re-sign him, especially not to a multi-year deal. We have a replacement in place here, Kenneth Gainwell, who won Rookie of the Year when Sanders was hurt in Gainwell's rookie season, who is nothing special either, but he's a lot cheaper than Sanders would be. And then Devontae Smith, he's a X factor. He has been for a while now. He is one of the best receivers in the league. He wins the receiving title 2 years in a row now. He has such great catching ratings. We have Doug Washington. At the end of his rookie season, he had 951 and 4 touchdowns. That is more than Jalen Reagor had the past 2 seasons combined. So yeah, I'm really happy about Doug Washington. And then we have Mitch Slaughter, who wins wide receiver of the year. We're gonna go into route runner here, and this is kind of a weak boost, but yeah, he has X Factor. If you didn't see it there, he had X Factor, and yeah, his catching ratings are great, his route runnings are not, but he is developing into one of the better receivers in the league, I'd say. At 6'2", 235, he kind of reminds me, with his skill set, he kind of reminds me of DeAndre Hopkins, with the great catching ratings, not the great speed, but also not terrible speed. So Quez Watkins, he is right now the first candidate to go to leave this offseason. And yeah, we're gonna move on here to the tight end room. Dallas Goedert, not even 500 yards in the season. I might consider trading him because I think that's a realistic scenario. If you think about it, your tight end doesn't get the receiving production or the targets that he wants to see at like 30 or 35 catches this season. I think that's like 2 a game. That's not much. And yeah, for right tackle, we have a dev reveal here. It's Travis Maynard, who has star dev as well. And I think his ratings are fine. If Lane Johnson decides to retire, then I have no issues with him taking over. He had a significant portion of snaps this season because Lane Johnson and Sean Keaton both were hurt at some point, and he played fine. He did not allow a bunch of sacks. So yeah, Travis Maynard looks ready to me, at least. And then Brandon Brooks, another candidate that might retire. We have Landon Dickerson still, but he didn't play great when he played. I started him at center this season, and he allowed 7 sacks in like 5 or 6 games. That's not good. And then Easton Young, he got the start third into the season, and he played great. I think he had a great season for a rookie, especially. And then Cam Robinson, best O-liner on this offensive line, and he looks so solid. He still has star dev though. I think it's an overall thing who gets higher dev in this league, but star dev, I think it's fine. His pass blocking is at 70, which is kind of ridiculous given how he allowed the least sacks in the league. Not sure how that happens, but yeah. Sean Keaton, our superstar left tackle, had a fine season. Was hurt for a few games, and Travis Maynard took his place, and he was fine as well. So defense, J.J. Watt is 35 now, and yeah, I'm gonna wait to see what regression does to him, but it doesn't look pretty. His acceleration and speed and yeah, is down a lot, and if his regression hits hard, I might not bring him back. He might also retire. Derek Barnett, probably not gonna bring him back either. Normal dev, 28 years old, done with his second contract here. He still has great excel, but his power moves, finesse moves never developed into the 80s, which I hoped, but did not happen. And when he played, he only had 2 sacks this season, even though he got to play a lot while J.J. Watt was hurt all the time. And yeah, Milton Williams, great season. He looks like a stud, is going into his 4th year now on his rookie contract. Still normal dev. Pretty disappointed about that. But if he continues this production, I think he can't last there forever. Fletcher Cox, already gave him an extension. He looks great. He wants to come back, and if he does not retire, I think we might be set at defensive tackle for starters for now. And then Clay Riley, picked him up in the draft a couple years ago. I think he didn't pan out. He might be someone that I'm not resigning when his contract is up. He's a run stopper, but he did have less TFLs than Milton Williams. And for edge rusher on the other side, Jonathan Rivera and Josh Sweat had fine seasons. I think for the future they are our 1 and 2 punch, I'd say, unless we're gonna let one of them go. And then cornerbacks, Darius Slay. He had a great season. He was locked down, and I want to bring him back, but I'm not sure what regression does to him. Maybe he's gonna retire as well. Not sure, but he looked great this season. He still is a lockdown corner. And then we have a dev upgrade, Avonte Maddox. 3 picks this season. He didn't always have the great coverage. He was more like Trayvon Diggs. He allowed some yardage, but he also had 3 picks to kind of make up for that. So happy that he got superstar dev. And yeah, he's a great slot corner. Dante Jackson. He was kind of the hit or miss corner in this league, or in this corner room, rather. He was kind of all over the place. But he has a 3-year deal, so he's not going to go anywhere. And then Chris Madden still has superstar dev. Happy about that. Maybe he's going to take over a starting role if Darius Slay decides to retire or his speed goes down by like 7. And then Kayvon Wallace, contract up as well. Not sure if I want to bring him back, but he's 26 now, I think. So maybe not. Javen White and Chaz Surratt. Yeah, kind of averagey linebackers, replacement level, nothing special. And then Mike Middleton, he finally looked like a starting middle linebacker at the end of that season. He finally made some plays. He was kind of really quiet for the first 1.5 years of his career, but in the second half of that season, he kind of turned it up a little, had some TFLs, had some pass breakups and stuff like that. So yeah. Tyler Stokes also had a great season, considering that he's only a rookie linebacker who was kind of a bust in that draft, but he looked really solid. He's a 4-3 base linebacker, and I'm gonna keep him around at that probably for a while. And then yeah, Taylor Anderson, kind of quiet as well, had 100 tackles, but he's not a linebacker, even though I was considering that for a while. And then James Wiggins, great backup. I'm probably going to bring him back because he played 1 game and he forced a fumble. His coverage was great. He has great speed. I liked his play a lot. So yeah. Next episode is going to be Super Bowl, retirements, regression, and then re-signing, the mock drafts, the final scouting, and then, of course, free agency. And we're going to move on to the draft in the episode after that. So yeah, that's the plan for now. That's gonna do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more Eagles franchise. See you in the next episode. Until then, spread some love.